Welcome to another episode of Fave 5 from Fans, where we explore all things favorite. I'm your host, Jamie Ray, codename Hulk Boy, and today we have a special guest joining us to discuss our Fave 5 G.I. Joe characters. This is going to be really exciting. You are seeing the 50 plus year old man, but you're going to be hearing the 12-year-old kid. And to help me do that, I'm going to be welcoming Channing to the show. It's his first time here, but he's a veteran podcaster, so I think we're going to be fine. Welcome to the show, sir.
Hey, thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to this. And if it's your inner 12-year-old, it's my inner 7 or 8-year-old. So
Oh, God.
yeah, this is gonna be a fun one.
This is gonna be a fun one. Oh man. Well, Channing came to me, or we met up at the Louisiana Film Festival, and he had actually listened to the show already. And I'm like, so he's literally one of the 23. I was so super excited. So I had to have him on the show. And just right away, he knew exactly what he wanted to do. So I'm gonna be ready. I feel you're gonna bring it today.
I'm gonna try not to let you and the other 22 listeners down. Look, we are small but mighty, my friend. Small
That's
but
right.
mighty.
Well, your wife will probably listen to it, so maybe we'll hit 24.
Yes, yes,
I,
yes. We'll
I'm
hit 24.
and I see you
Onward
got
and upward.
yep. I see you got a stack of stuff there, so I cannot wait to get into this. It's going to be cool. So, if you're ready, I'm super excited. I think that we should jump right into our honorable mentions, of which you have 36, I believe, but we're going
Yes,
to
yes,
just go
yes.
with two.
Yes, yes, yes. We're gonna go with two to keep it simple.
Let's see it,
Um,
sir.
yeah, I related to G.I. Joe a lot growing up, and I was very much a nerd, even though at the time I didn't know. Because again, I think when the miniseries aired, the first one, I probably been around 7 or 8, but I was just kind of hooked. And one of my honorable mentions fits that mold perfectly. His name is Mainframe. That code name should tell you everything that there is to know about him, but he was the Joe's main computer guy.
Mhm.
Even when you got the figure, he had a gun, but he also had this portable, by 80s standards, computer that he had with him. He showed up in some of the later episodes, and one of his things was he was actually in his file cards. All the Joes have their own origins, backstories, whatever you want to say it. He served in one particular branch, and then when he got older, he said, well, wait, I'm going to re-enlist. But since I'm older, they won't let me be active duty. So I'm going to, go into IT communications. So he was literally their computer guy. And they managed to work him into a few episodes where, they had to attack the Cobra base, but there
Ooh,
just happened to be a computer in there that needed hacking. So,
of course.
you bring in the guy with the computer, they managed to work him in. So yeah,
Mainframe, we've got an Apple IIe over here. Come see.
exactly. Ooh, 80s. They might even have a Tandy computer from Radio Shack.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so it could have been rough. Also, he had an unlikely romance with a Cobra slash Dreadnought by the name of Zorana, who was Zartan's
Ooh,
sister. Yeah,
yes.
yeah, and I mean, even by cartoon standards, Zorana was hot.
Randall
So
Scott's pink hair at the time
yeah,
too, right?
yeah, yeah. Pink hair. So yeah, that was the other thing. You got, the nerdy, somewhat older computer guy. Say older. I think he was probably like 40 or something. And
Yeah,
then you've got the punk rock, destroy everything aesthetic, and they managed to vibe. So
yeah, yeah.
it was a case of a nerd not only being useful but also getting the girl,
There you
and that don't happen a lot in life, folks. Let me tell you from personal experience.
I
Does
can
not happen.
definitely see where you and I would. That's a good pick.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Look, the Big Bang Theory was fantasy. Let me,
Yeah,
let me tell you right now.
I love it. Mainframe. Okay.
Yes, yes, yes. And in keeping with that trend, every team, I don't care how good this team is, you have to have a lovable loser.
Okay.
And their lovable loser was also a nerd, and his
Oh,
name was Dial Tone. He was their radio and communication specialist. And I think his file card actually mentions, yeah, there's nowhere around it. The guy's a nerd. When he was kid, he had the rock tumbler and the science kits and everything. And two episodes specifically that I remember where he was featured in. One, um, he didn't get his re-enlistment to be a Joe again.
what?
What turns out, the Joes did that on purpose and just did not tell him. Because
Oh,
like, oh well, you're not gonna be a Joe again, because they knew Cobra was gonna reach out to him.
oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, but they didn't even tell him. So he was undercover and didn't even know it. The whole thing was, it was like, okay, he'll believe that we kicked him out because he knows he's borderline Joe.
Yeah.
And the other one was Cobra wanted to mess with Joe from the inside. So they said, okay, we're gonna find the three worst GI Joes possible, and we're
Okay.
gonna make them generals. We're gonna make them leaders.
Okay.
And they picked three that just had no business being in charge.
Okay.
It's like I'm trying to think. Imagine, the boss puts his cousin in charge of the nuclear power plant, and the cousin barely has a high school degree.
Yeah,
That
straight
that
out of
type.
Walmart. Yeah, come
Yeah,
on.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. And true to form, all three of them just messed up royally. They either weren't good at battle planning, they weren't good at people giving people orders. They didn't want to give people orders. And Dial Tone was one of them. So 2 episodes where he was featured in,
Man,
he's a misfit.
getting it. What you
Yeah.
think it was that porn stash he had?
The porn stash did help. And I mean, now his figure was cool because he had the gun, but then he had what appeared to be a 90-pound just radio
Yeah.
tower, for
He
lack
kind
of
of
a better term, on his
like
back.
like a
Yeah.
half moon something.
Yes, exactly. So I'm like, okay, I will say it takes a brave man to run into battle with that on you.
I don't think he was running there probably though.
Probably not. Probably not. And I mean, this was before these high efficiency lithium batteries. So I mean, he probably had like 90 D batteries on him at all times. Gotta keep that thing charged.
Oh, that is great.
Yeah, but those are my two honorable mentions. Again, I relate to nerds. It's just a thing. But what do you think?
I think they're wonderful. I really do. I do love the fact that I guess I totally forgot about the fact that he was so bad. But you're right. I mean, it's like, oh man, you got the high tech guy over here who gets the super cool punk rock guy. And then you get the guy over here who runs around with a roll of quarters in his pockets in case he needs to use a payphone.
Exactly. That's him. That is him
Oh,
exactly.
I love those choices. Well, I better bring some good ones then. And I think I have.
Okay.
So my first one is Robert W. Graves, who is also known as Grunk, who was a talented corporal with a grade of E4. Originally from Columbus, Ohio, he excelled in advanced infantry training, ranking in the top 10 of his class. Grunt's primary military specialties infantry, with his second specialties in small arms armory and artillery coordination. And one of the things that puts him here in the honorable mention, he is just iconic in that his image is the image that's in the logo box that was on the first 100 issues, including when he made his debut in June of '82 in G.I. Joe: A Real American Hero #1. This guy was involved in so much, including the the little issue where Snake Eye gets his infamous scarring, but we won't hold that against him. It wasn't his fault. He's a favorite not only for being in that comic, but also he was the first figure that I ever received as a gift. So he always held a special place in my heart. He didn't have all that advanced, storyline and all of that other stuff. He was just the guy, the grunt who did
Yes.
the work.
Yes. He,
And
he he was the soldier's soldier. Yeah.
he was. And I loved that because he didn't, all the other guys were cool. I mean, don't get me wrong. There were some cool dudes and dudettes. But Grunt was just that. He was just the guy. And I always appreciated that. And I always thought, man, that's who you should be. You don't
Yeah.
have to have all of this stuff. So
Yeah.
anyway, that was a good one.
Yeah. He didn't need gimmicks or anything. I
No, he was
respect
just
that. Yeah.
a true hero.
Yeah.
He was just a true. American hero.
Agreed.
Um, my other selection is Marvin F. Hinton, born in Biloxi, Mississippi, who goes by the code name Roadblock. Yes, I see that one. His primary function, G.I. Joe, was a heavy machine gunner with his secondary function as a cook. Now, coming from the South, you and I both know he could probably whip up some good stuff for the Joes.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
definitely.
He's definitely one of the most physically strong members of the team, though now I'm wondering how much Dalton's backpack weighed because maybe, we'd have to see. But he was able to carry a fully loaded M2 50 cal heavy machine gun as his personal weapon with his ammunition weighed up to 135 pounds. So this guy was built. And
Yes.
that being said, his passion was food. He loved to make sure that the Joes were fed and fed well. And when the team temporarily disbanded, Roadblock finally took the opportunity to become a gourmet chef, where he wrote several best-selling cookbooks, endorsed a line of his own cooking products, and had his own cooking show. But when the team needed him, he left all of that behind, happily hung up his chef's hat, and rejoined them again. Um, in the animated show, I do love this. He inexplicably he was depicted as speaking in rhyme. I have no idea. I don't know if he read some Etrigan the Demon DC comics and said, "Hey, I should do that because I don't have a hat." I don't know.
Yeah.
But I loved Roadblock again. No special weapons, no special tactics, just Sun was ripped
Hmm.
and he could make a good grilled cheese sandwich. So,
And what more, especially when he's in the military, because military is not known for having great food. So
yeah.
the fact that he was able to whip up gourmet meals
Mhm.
using ingredients from a base, that's impressive.
Yeah, yeah, because supposedly a meal travels on its stomach, not on its feet.
Yes,
So
yes.
Roadblock really took that to heart. And again, he's a Southern guy, so
Right.
gotta love him. There's not a lot of them born in the South,
No, no,
but
no,
there
you're
are
right.
some, and one is actually further on my list.
All
So
right.
we'll
A
talk
nice
about
little
him.
teaser there. I like it.
Now that we've got all of our honorable mentions out of the way, we can get straight on, talk about the real list, and start with your number five. Mwahaha!
Whew. Okay, so this is a tough one, and this pick is gonna get me in trouble with at least one friend of mine, but I have to put it there for nostalgia.
Okay.
And also because he was another Joe that I could relate to because
Your
the
friend or the choice?
yeah, well, yeah, the Joe is a Joe that I can relate to. Um, in addition to being a nerd, me being a child of the South, I hate the cold. I mean, despise the cold. And for me, cold is anything below 72. I call it cold. G.I. Joe has a jungle trooper named Recondo.
Mhm.
And again, if you look at his file card and his backstory, it's mentioned one of the reasons he wanted to be, a jungle trooper was because he hates the cold. He likes to be in the hot, humid, sweaty jungles. So he signed up for that on purpose. And I'm
Yeah,
like, this is a guy that I can be friends with. Um, he's also, if not the first, he's one of the first action figures that I actually had as a child.
yeah.
So for those two reasons, Recondo is on the list for me because again, there's a lot of ways you can do a top five, but I worked some nostalgia into my picks also. But
And
yeah,
that's what it should be about.
yeah,
That's what it should be because it's your favorite. It's not the one who is had was most popular or had the best sells. It's
right,
what it brings back in you. So
exactly.
excellent choice, sir.
Yes,
Excellent.
yes, yes,
Did you did you ever notice later on when you're watching Predator how much Jesse the Body Ventura looked like Ricondo?
yes.
Is that's
100%. I don't know if that was by design or by accident,
yeah.
but yes, I did
Even with the
notice it.
mustache and
Yes. Yes. Yeah, the whole thing. Yeah. The only thing I needed was Recondo to say in G.I. Joe the movie, I ain't got time to bleed.
I ain't got
Just to
time to
really,
bleed.
tired of which granted it was the cartoon, so no one bled. But still,
True. Or got shot.
right. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. One day we got to figure that out because I once saw Duke. do a SWAT roll from behind a stack of money that was being
Uh-huh.
shot at and shoot the ropes off of a catwalk that Cobra was standing on him, shooting at from above. Shot them both, each shot, pow, pow, rope snap.
Yeah.
Didn't hit anything else the
No.
whole episode. Can't hit a person. Can break a rope, but can't hit a person to save their life.
Uh,
God bless cartoons
yeah.
and standards and
At first, you
practices.
think that they and the stormtroopers went all to the same training show, but
Right.
no, there's something like that. Then you're just like totally,
Yeah. Yeah. And that's going to tie into one of my other picks earlier,
oh,
later.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
See, I can do
another
teasers
teaser.
too.
All
Yes.
right. All right. Well, I am going to have to parry that one with my other Southern boy. And I am talking about the high flying pilot and Chief Warrant Officer C.W. Wild Bill from Brady, Texas. I knew you would like that because I see the dragonfly right
Yes,
there.
indeed. Yes, indeed.
William S.
Yeehaw.
Hardy, and he served during the Vietnam War as a combat infantryman and participated in long range reconnaissance patrol operations, which remember that because it'll come up again later. He re-enlisted to attend the Flight Warrant Officer School, where he remained in service, but his specialized training records are classified. He's a qualified expert in the auto pistol and the XM16 car radio. No, no, that's SX. Sorry.
Different device.
But he has a preference for his two single action 45 caliber long Colt rifles. And as we said, he's a pilot for the Dragonfly helicopter, but he's also adept at flying winged, fixed wing planes.
Correct.
And he was able to adapt the hunting skills that he learned as a boy whenever he was tracking the enemy to say that it was easier to sneak it up on Cobra than it is sneaking up on most of the critters back in Texas. And I love this. Wild
Mm.
Bill has a hobby of being a country western singer. And while being personally honest, he enjoys telling tall tales, which I'm sure his friends liked better than his singing, but I'm not sure about that. Wild Bill was so awesome because he was just a Texas homeboy who loved to fly. And
Yes.
he could fly just about anything. But he
Yes.
loved that chopper that you got right next to you that we're going to talk about in a little while. I can't wait. I'm so jelly.
Yes. And actually, his figure, for his weapons, it actually comes with two Colt 45 revolvers.
That is so awesome.
Yeah, which I'm just imagining because again, the military is so strict and they got their own guidelines. Like, no, I don't need the 9 millimeter or the 45 automatic. Give me my revolvers. I'm good.
Get my revolver. And the thing is it won't jam like
That's
those
true.
nines or the Glocks or any of that. Now his laser pistols wouldn't Glock either, but I mean, what are
Yeah.
you gonna do?
Yeah, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do?
They looked so cool.
Yes, yes. One of my favorite head canons. It comes from another podcast, and they are convinced that Wild Bill is just a lunatic. When he's a great and skilled helicopter pilot, but because of that, he is just a lunatic. When he gets back there, it's like, oh, hold on, I'm gonna turn this helicopter sideways so I can catch these people, but not have them hit the rotors. And I'm,
Well,
I'm not just
you
gonna
know,
yell "Yo, Joe." I'm gonna yell "Yeehaw" when I go
yeah.
into battle.
Well, 10-1, he was a pilot for offshore in the Gulf because that's how those helicopter pilots try.
You were the
They are
second person
something
I've
else.
heard that from.
It is, man. I'm telling you, it is. They will come up off of the platform and then just straight down, and you're like, okay, this guy's seen Blue Thunder a few too many times.
Yeah, yes.
You know.
Wild Bill, an excellent choice because he
Thank
had
you,
some,
sir.
even in the cartoon, he had some good episodes where he
Yes.
wasn't in his helicopter. He actually had an episode where they were in Texas of all places.
Yeah, but he probably still had his sunglasses on.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I think he slept with those on.
Yeah. What was that movie? Smokey and the Bandit. Burt Reynolds' character said he only takes his hat off for two reasons. Yeah, same thing.
Same
Same
thing.
thing for Wild Bill.
Oh, that is cool. All right. Well, why don't we bounce it back and hear what
Okay.
your number four is?
All right. Number four is another nostalgia pick, but he was featured heavily, so I don't feel quite so bad. Um, Albert M. Pine, who was given the code name Alpine, because apparently they were just tired that day giving out code names. Like,
Larry
damn it.
Hammond sitting there going, yeah, Alpine. Yeah, let's just go
Yeah,
with it.
Alpine. Yeah, let's
Give me
go
an
with that.
apostrophe. All
Yeah,
right, we're
yeah.
good.
Yeah, it's lunchtime. I gotta go. He's another one. He's one of the first figures that I had. And I had a real fixation with like grappling hooks and ropes as a kid. And so he came with one. Like he came with a little grappling hook and it actually had a rope you
Really?
could tie to it. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. And my mom and dad, we had like this brick kind of mantelpiece in the
Uh-huh.
house. So yes, Alpine scaled that a lot. Also like
Okay.
Alpine, I mean, black guy. So as a kid, it was like, oh, cartoon character who looks like me.
Yeah.
He was a little bit silly because don't get me wrong, I loved Roadblock, but I could not relate to Roadblock.
Yeah.
I didn't break 100 pounds until I started college. So the idea of me,
Plus, rhyming wasn't really your thing, right?
yeah, exactly, yeah, exactly. So yeah, yeah. So you had those two things couldn't really work with. But yeah, so that was important. But I think the other thing was Alpine had a bromance before bromances were a thing. Because in the
Really?
cartoon, he was always paired with Bazooka, and
Oh,
they just
okay.
had this great um for the older folks out there, Laurel and Hardy. I guess for the younger folks, I don't know, Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, but they had this kind of great relationship where they just kind of played off each other.
Yeah.
And I can't think of an episode where one was in but the other wasn't. Um,
Really?
Yes, yes, yes. They were good Joes, but they were also kind of portrayed as the comic relief sometimes. Because
Uh-huh.
again,
Uh-huh.
because of their kind of bromance. Bazooka was also real clumsy. It was great. They had the first bromance that I ever saw on TV. So
That is
yes, I
hilarious.
enjoyed it.
Now, I'll be honest with you. I don't
Hmm.
really remember him.
Hmm.
Um, but am I crazy or did I mean when you say alpine, he wasn't an alpine skier. He was like a climber,
Yeah, he was a mountain climber. Correct.
mountain climber. Okay, okay.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to go back and
green
look him up.
outfit. Always had the climber's rope like wrapped around his chest diagonally, matching hat, and that is another thing. I think in every episode he was in, they found a reason for him to climb or repel something.
Well, of course. I
Yeah,
mean,
they had an episode. They were in what the equivalent of New York City was in the GI Joe universe, and they were on top of a skyscraper. Two cobras were getting away. And
uh-huh.
he said something, well, no time to take the elevator. And so he pulls out his climbing gear and just starts rappelling down the side of a skyscraper in the middle of this city.
Okay, I see him now. I kind of remember him now. Yeah, he
Yes.
kind of got that Billy D. Williams feel to him.
Actually, yes. Yes, yes.
Yes.
And he had a porn stash too.
Uh, and I love this. His primary military specialty was mountain trooper. His secondary military specialty, finance
Finance.
clerk.
Yes. 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 I think there was a running joke that he used to help all the Joes with their taxes.
Oh my God, that is hilarious.
Yeah, yeah, they used to work in some funny secondary specialties in
Yeah.
a lot of them. He's not on my list, but there's Cutter, who he's the pilot of the Whale, the big hovercraft.
Okay. Okay.
His secondary specialty, softball coach.
Well, there you go.
Yeah,
Somebody's got to coach it, right?
yeah, and somebody else is in the chorus. Shockwave. Yeah, Shockwave. He's like a SWAT team trooper. I think he's in the chorus.
Sports.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I got to go back and just find a website with all of those and just go back and read them.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's hilarious.
3D. I think 3D Joe's has them.
3D Joe's. Oh, I came across that site. That
Hmm.
is a cool site. They take the action figures and take 3D shots of them all
Yeah,
around.
yeah,
And you can, oh, yes, that was a cool one.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I've looked at them because I haven't been able to do the ones that I want, but when I'm looking for costume ideas, I like to go look at there because you get the full
Oh
the
my
full
God.
look, and they do have the file cards.
Have you cosplayed Joe?
I 2 years ago I did my first one. I was Doc.
Really?
Yes, my wife
Oh,
helped me put it together. I'm
you
going to say
got to send
somewhat
me a picture of
reluctantly.
that.
Oh yes,
Oh my
yes, I will make a
gosh.
note. Yes. Yes.
Yes.
And I love cosplaying Doc. The only problem is Doc is a pacifist, but he and
Uh,
Lifeline are both pacifists. And when you're doing your photo shoots, they always say, "All right, we're gonna do an action shot. So act like you're fighting, Cobra." Well, Doc doesn't have a gun.
no.
So I just pretended like I was throwing a bottle of pills at him.
You you should
he,
just me, but maybe you should carry one of those colonostomy tubes
oh
and say,
no.
don't make me use this.
Yeah, don't make me use this. Now the new figure that they released, apparently he's got a taser
Oh, okay.
now. Yeah.
Okay. I
Yeah.
could see
So
that.
so at least he can defend himself. So we may upgrade
Yeah. Yeah.
next year. But yeah, that was always my thing. I'm like, who can I fight? Though they've got guns and missiles.
Well, I guess no, never mind. I'm not going to go down that road. I will say I need to stop for a minute though. Are you? Does that kind of cover it for you?
Yeah, for yeah.
Okay. I have to say the diversity in the G.I. Joe teams for the 80s. You know, it's
Yes.
when you go back and I'm looking through this, it is
Mm-hmm.
amazing to
Yeah.
see the teams that they put together and the way that these team members worked with, they did not care about where you came from, what color you were, if you were a pacifist or not. They
Mm-hmm.
had a place and they all, even the losers
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
group, they all wanted to do the right thing and, protect the US or the world as it would
Yeah.
later come to be. And I just going back, it blows my mind
Yeah.
how much diversity you look at that and you see the entire spectrum. And yes, okay, I will say that maybe some of the characters were a little
Stereotypy.
yes, okay.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I think a lot of people and I don't do politics a lot I don't do politics at all on the show, but some
Right.
people will see something that we think is stereotype, and then the people who are being represented are like, yeah, yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
That's how we are. So we
Yeah.
put some of that imposed on us
Yeah.
when in
Yeah. We did it
fact the
ourselves. Yeah.
people aren't that up. Now, that being said, whatever, but going back and just looking at the landscape of all those people blows my mind,
Mm-hmm.
even to the day. And I'm sure if that show, had been done today, there would have been so many more, represent. It's just
Oh
for
yes.
its time, it was really groundbreaking
Oh
to
yeah.
to bring all these people together like that.
100% agree. Yeah, that is one of the, like I said, I saw myself in Alpine, but yeah, you had somebody like a Spirit, a little stereotypy, yeah,
Yeah.
but they made him a very compelling character, and he
Right.
was the primary foil for Storm Shadow.
Yeah.
Because Snake Eyes couldn't talk, and that doesn't translate well to a cartoon. But
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, they did a good job with him. A lot of people forget about this. Shipwreck is actually Hispanic.
Yeah.
Yeah, Hector X Delgado.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Okay. And I know there was an Alaskan Inuit
yep.
in there as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like you were saying later on, there was a Brazilian who was on the
Yep.
Joe team.
Yep.
Um,
Quick Kick was Asian.
mhm.
American, Polynesian, maybe I think. But yeah.
Okay. And who was the guy? Is it Beachhead?
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't there, or there was the guy from like Hawaii? Um,
Yeah, there was. That wasn't Beachhead. Beachhead is from like Alabama. I can't remember the Hawaiian one, but yeah,
yeah.
there is one.
So
They've
I
got
think
one for most of the states. Yeah.
it was amazing because there was like someone that you could find someone in there to
Mm-hmm.
relate to, whether, black, white, male, female, they were all there. And anyway, I just had to say that because it really, going back and looking through them, I was surprised that you just didn't see a bunch of white males throughout
Right.
the entire show like you did, up
Right.
to that point. So anyway, just had to say that. That
Oh
was
no,
cool.
no, makes perfect sense.
Uh, and speaking of that, that goes right into my choice of number four.
All right.
My number four is the lovely and deadly Staff Sergeant E6 Allison R. Hart Burnett, otherwise known as Lady J. Ah, thank you. I'll take the applause. Trust me, everybody was a Scarlet lover. But for me, I just Lady J um was just so awesome. I mean, she was a badass. You know, she grew up in Martha's Vineyard, which if you're a Jaws fan, you know, there you go. She went to Bryn Mawr. She was a graduate there and did graduate work at Trinity College in Dublin. And then she went on to the intelligence school at Fort Holabird. She's airborne and ranger qualified and an expert with the M16, with the auto pistol, and with that cool reflex crossbow. She is the only Joe figure that came with a shoulder patch on the uniform, which I didn't know. And it was
No, I
that of
didn't
the
know that.
U.S. Army Reserve's 91st Army Reserve Command, which is now the 91st Training Division. So you know, the other thing I loved is you can go and you look at especially the Cobra people. You know, they were always doing makeup and you know all of these different things to impersonate people. She had a knack for impersonation, but because she was an accomplished actress and fluent in a bunch of voices, she really instead of doing the rubber masks and all that, she just kind of subtly changed herself
Yeah.
and was able to pull it off a lot of times.
Yeah, she didn't just dress like the person. She became that person for all
Yes,
intents and
yeah.
purposes. Yes.
Without all of the stuff, you know.
Right.
Um, and I like that in the I knew this and it kind of broke my heart a little bit, but both in the Sunbow animated series and the Marvel comic series, she had a romance with Flint. Uh,
Well,
whatever. Flint's a great guy. I'm happy for her. But in G.I. Joe Retaliation, oh, Adriana Palicki played her, which she did such a good job. I mean, just embodied everything that I thought she could, and she was a good marksman. So, you know, she did a lot that the comic one didn't do. But I loved her character, and I love the fact that again, you know, you've got like you know, Scarlet, who was, you know, total badass, don't get me wrong, but there was a lot of upplaying about how beautiful she was. And then of course, what was it? Cover Girl later on.
mhm,
But I just thought that this lady was really, really grounded and just an awesome addition, you know, to the group.
agreed. Agreed. Yeah, I got no notes.
I like that. I
Yes.
like that.
And here's
So,
why I have no notes. Are,
oh,
are you
come
are you
on.
finished up? Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
So here's why I have no notes. My number three is Lady J.
Oh, bravo, sir.
But I've got a few different reasons. Since you already this one can be quick if need to be.
No, no, take your
Yeah.
time. I love the fact that we can both love somebody, but you've
Yeah.
got different reasons for it.
Yeah.
That's what I love about this show.
So I think again, I mentioned I was like 7 or 8 when G.I. Joe premiered for me, the miniseries. She was legitimately my first cartoon character crush.
Oh,
I acknowledge this to this day. Whenever I go to a sci-fi convention or a GI Joe convention and I see a woman in a Lady J cosplay,
yeah.
I'm happily married now, but when I was single, I was, yeah, yeah, I would just like melt. It's like, oh my God, she's Lady J.
Should we
Because
maybe
those feelings
stop
would come back.
talking about this?
Oh, my wife knows. My wife knows. My wife knows. She will
Does,
never let me go to a GI Joe convention on my own.
does she happen to have a Lady J costume?
I'm trying to talk her into it.
Just
Hopefully she'll
saying,
hear
you know?
this and hey, Valentine's Day will be here soon, depending on when this airs. Hint, hint, wink, wink. Um, and she's part of the reason why I'm attracted to strong women because Lady J and honestly all of the female Joes,
Mhm.
they weren't always just there to get kidnapped.
No.
Don't get me wrong, they did, but so did a lot of the men. There was
Joe.
no, yeah, there was no like Lois Lane in the old school Superman cartoons where she was just there to write a story and get kidnapped. No,
Yeah.
no, it happened equally, and people got beat up trying to mess with Lady J a lot. And so again, that's why I like strong women. And in the comic books and the cartoons, she was as smart as she was a good fighter, because again, military intelligence.
Hmm.
Um, and I think the other thing about it was the cartoon and the comic book were two different universes. The
Yes.
comic book was much darker. Like people got shot and died in the comic
Mhm.
book, and a lot of the characters were portrayed differently. One example, Flint was a jerk in the comics, an absolute
Yeah.
jerk those first two episodes. Lady J knocked him out one day because he was running his mouth. It was on the cover, and you just see her haul back and knock his teeth in. Now he did become more likable over time, but
Well, that probably straightened him out.
yeah. Oh, I'm sure sometimes that's all it takes. So I admire that. I'm like, okay, this is a woman. She's not gonna take any mess. She's protective of her friends. She's loyal. She's a badass. She is Lady J. I will defend her to this day. And yeah. Like I knew cartoons weren't real and that they were
Yeah.
drawn, but in my mind, there was a real person that served as the basis of that depiction of Lady J. So I'm like,
Yeah.
I gotta find this woman who
Oh,
looks like this woman.
okay.
Never did, but if she's out there, I'm
You found
happily
the one who
married.
invited her though, and you
Yes,
married
I
her.
did. Yes, I did. Because my wife, if I ever gave her a reason to, would probably knock me senseless. After she hears after this podcast airs, do me a favor, call and check on me in like a day or two, just to make sure.
As
No,
long as
but
you don't get her a reflex crossbow to go with that costume,
yeah, no,
I
she'll be
will.
fine. Yeah, she'll be fine. No, she knows. We tease about our old real and fictional crushes a lot. So
Uh-huh.
thankfully I'm safe.
Okay, there we go. Well, man, that is awesome. And if that's your number three, I guess I really need to bring it. And um, I guess what I would have to say is my number three is another of the original Joe team members. And I will say this about my list is if you go back and you when we're done and you look at it, you'll see that a lot of the characters that are on my that were of my choices did come from the early Joe team because like I said I was 12 so I was just on the edge of starting to get out of toys because I was becoming a big boy in junior high school and started playing Dungeons and Dragons and all of that stuff.
You upgraded.
Yeah, so I will say that you'll see where the end is. But so my number three again was an original Joe, and it is Short Fuse, Corporal E4 Eric W. Friedstadt, born in Chicago, Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
Um, his primary military specialty, of course, is artillery, with his second being an infantry engineer. Short Fuse was logical. He was sensitive. He did have a temper, hence the code name. But he was born into a military family with his father and his grandfather, both career top sergeants. He enjoys working on he enjoys working on abstract mathematics, and he can project the azimuths and the triangulations of where like mortar rounds and everything else would go. Um, he was a qualified expert in many guns, but he also included the M1 81 millimeter medium mortar, as well as an M79 grenade launcher. And he can toss a grenade like nobody's business. So that's one of my favorites, my OGs, as you might say. He was there for the team early on, and when they needed to get down to business, he could bring the boom.
Yeah. Now again, for his specialty, you want a guy like that. Like I want a guy who, when I call in a mortar attack or artillery, he's not gonna short it. You know,
Exactly.
you know.
He's
Yeah, I
got,
need
he's going to hit the right target at the
right,
right
right,
time.
right. I said 100 yards in front of me.
Yeah.
So no, I think that is an excellent choice. And again, it goes back to kind of what we said, just the diversity of some of these guys. You know, the guy who enjoys mathematics is going to be the great soldier. But
Yeah.
I also like the backstory of coming from a military family because
Right.
that's not uncommon.
No.
Yeah, it's not uncommon at all. So no, I think that is a great pick. OG or not, I think that's a good pick. I can't argue with that one.
I will say too, one of the reasons that I really liked him as a toy, but as a character too, is he had a. I mean, they all had different outfits. I mean, all
Right.
of them, but his was really cool because his helmet had that visor that went across it because
Yes.
he was always working with music munitions, and I'm sure it was a Z-rated OSHA spec, whatever. Um, but it was cool. Plus, he had the little mortar with him.
Yes.
And I don't know about you, but I used to play with my toys with Legos a lot of
Yep.
times. So
Hmm.
I would build. I can remember one time building a big cannon. It was a square cannon, but it doesn't matter. That he would use when he was fighting against, Cobra. Though,
Right.
okay, we're gonna get off the road here a little bit. I didn't have that many Cobra guys. I had
Either.
the Cobra Commander and the Shadow Storm, and maybe two or three different soldiers. I never had a Destro. I had a Baroness too,
Okay.
but I had a lot of more. It was very lopsided when they would come into battle. So I'd have some stormtroopers with him and maybe a draconian guard or something from Buck Rogers.
So look, sometimes you just want to relate to the good guys more,
Exactly. Yeah.
especially considering the world sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, okay, we need to root for the good guys for a while.
That's it. That's it. And I did. So,
Yeah.
all right. Well, now that we've discovered, okay, well, now that we've discussed short fuse, I think that we should take a short break
I see what you did there.
to discuss the Smarty Art Brother podcast and all things Channing.
Well, let's see. I'm Channing. I'm an Aries. I enjoy long walks on the beach. In my
Oh,
spare time, I like to go and read stories to blind orphan puppies.
you're
No,
so awesome.
no. So, the Smarty Art Brother is a podcast that I planned for about 7 years before I finally got around to doing it. Um, I got a few episodes under my belt, and then life kind of happened. So I'm on a hiatus, but I'm bringing it back at the end of the year.
That's what I'm talking
Basically,
about.
yeah. Basically, it just kind of started. I have some friends with some really interesting jobs. One worked at the CDC in Atlanta during the time a little something called COVID was hitting.
Never
I've
heard
got
of it.
another, yeah, exactly. Another one of my best friends and drinking buddies from college. He's a nationally award-winning sports writer, and now he teaches journalism. So yeah, it's just kind of these people bringing them. I got another one. She teaches communications and AI as far as the ethics go. And I'm like, okay, these people have some pretty cool jobs. I ought to,
Yeah.
sit down and talk to them. So I would just bring them in and talk to them. And it's great because they're people I know, they're my friends, so we get to chat it up, but we get to talk about anything that ranges from serious, like saving journalism, because at some point journalists became like Cobra. They just kind of treated them like they were actually terrorist organizations.
Yeah.
But then we also had one of my favorite episodes, myths and legends, specifically in the Black community.
Oh, okay.
So the example that I give is white people are usually the ones who say, "Oh, I saw Elvis." Well, Black people, we see Tupac. We still think Tupac is alive. So the idea was kind of like those conspiracy theories, but that are really kind of centered around one particular race or another. We also had another one on mental health in the Black community that was really good, and it was actually one that anybody could relate to, just the way we ended up recording it. So
Yeah.
yeah, it is. I truly enjoy doing it, and I'm just glad I got to a point. At first, I was not doing it because I was afraid to do it.
Uh-huh.
And then I met some people at DragonCon, which is a sci-fi convention that I go to, on the
Yeah.
digital media track, and they do a lot of panels related to that, including podcasting. And just talking to them over time, I finally got my confidence up, and so yeah, I did it. And now the only reason I'm not doing it is because I've just been so busy in between
Yeah.
traveling, and my daughter graduated college a few months ago, and
Hmm.
yeah, there's just been a lot. But yeah, end of the year, I want to get it back up and going. But right now, there's 8 what I think are good episodes up there that people should go listen to wherever you get fine or even semi okay podcasts.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so that's that. And then I'm co-host of a podcast called the DragonCon Report. We're on a break now because it's not DragonCon season, but
Right.
starting in January, once a month, we talk to either guests at DragonCon, DragonCon organizers. We offer tips on everything from how to find hotels, places to eat. We discuss all things geeky that are related to DragonCon and or DragonCon adjacent.
And the
Um,
minimal amount of time to shower each
yes,
day at
yes,
DragonCon.
yes, that actually has come up.
Yeah.
The parade, maybe don't be a jerk and harass people. Yeah, yeah, we cover those things too. And again, that's another one. I ended up on it, I think, kind of by accident. I kind of started out as a guest, and I think I just been going and going for so long. They were like, "Hey, we got an opening if you want to join us and talk about this thing that you love so much." I'm like,
Yeah.
yes, please. Um, so those are my two big ones as far as podcasting. And the third thing that I do is I actually co-founded a group called the Black Geeks of DragonCon.
Oh.
And it's just showcasing some of the diversity at the con from our side of things. And I always tell people it is not a protest, it's a party. We're not, we love it. We just like to have a little spot to kind of show off. And it's for people in and out of cosplay because, there's all kinds of nerds. There's nerds that don't cosplay, there's book nerds, there's nerds that make robots.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we get together each year. We have a big photo shoot. I think last year we had about 350 people there.
Wow.
But we also work with other tracks to make sure that people of color are on these different panels.
Hmm.
So, let's be honest, a lot of times you go to these conventions, it's, full white guys up there talking about something.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
we try to make them known that, hey, we got some experts in healthcare. We got experts in animation. I moderated a panel on voice acting,
Oh,
and we had two women of color and a man who's a member of the LGBTQ community, if I remember correctly, up there just talking about voice acting,
yeah.
and how they got into it. So that one's a lot of fun too, and I think people get something out of it.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure
Hopefully.
they do. That's a great boon for the community.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. One day we're gonna expand it because right now we're focused mainly at Dragon Con, but I
Yeah.
wouldn't mind hitting up another convention. But conventions cost money, so
Yes, they do. Do
and
you go like every year to DragonCon?
I've missed 1 year since 2008.
Wow.
Yeah, it is very much my happy place.
Yeah.
I was going before I met my wife, and she's not a huge nerd, but she does like to go and show her support, and she'll volunteer some there a little bit. But
Yeah.
yeah, there was one of those things where I told her, I said, "Hey, you don't have to do this with me, but I need you to understand it is something that I enjoy doing, and it's worked for us." But
And you said please a lot, I'm sure.
oh, yeah, definitely a lot, no
I
lie.
did DragonCon back in the day in the 90s. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and it's so huge now.
It is only getting bigger. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Uh, wow.
I think it
Wow.
was 75,000 last year was what they
Jeez.
announced for the total. And for those of you who don't know, DragonCon is so big, it's not in a single convention center. It takes place across five different hotels, well, six if you count um, the Mart, and they're in about a 5 block radius of each other.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you've
And there's
got,
underground connecting spaces and
yeah, in
there's
some cases, yeah, there's a couple of sky bridges too.
yeah.
Three of the hotels, yes, they are directly connected, so that makes it easy. But there's two others that are a couple of blocks away.
Wow.
But yeah, it is again, it's a convention of many conventions
Yes.
because there's a cosplay track, there's a
Mm.
comic book track,
Yeah.
there's an American TV track. So there's about 15 or 20 different tracks. So if you have one single interest, you can stay on that track all 4 days of it.
Right. Right.
Or if
Right.
you're like me and like to bounce around, that's me. I've gone from digital media to robotics to British media to military. In the course of a day, I just bounced
Wow.
around to different panels.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And
It
those
gets worse.
days are over Labor Day, right?
Always Labor Day weekend.
Yeah.
It seems to
In
start
Atlanta.
earlier and earlier each year, but officially it starts on Thursday
Right.
and wraps up officially on Monday,
Yeah. And I
usually
think
Monday
one of
around noon.
the things that makes it very accessible for people is the MARTA system
Yes,
there. So
yes,
while those hotels in that area fill up early, you can
yeah.
still stay out in some of the other ones and
And
come
catch
in.
Marta.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
It is a nice touch. And here's the other thing that people forget: the tickets aren't that expensive.
Mm-mm.
You can get a ticket for like $100, which for a conference or convention that runs like 4 or 5 days.
It's really
Um,
good.
yeah, that's a deal. I mean, the expensive thing is the hotel because it's Atlanta on a Labor Day weekend, and I don't know if this was the case when you were going, but now we share that weekend with the college football kickoff.
Oh, wow.
So like
No.
one year, I think Georgia and Clemson were playing that same weekend.
Yeah.
So I'm sure you could imagine what the crowds were like there
Yeah.
then.
Yeah. I was
Yeah.
very lucky to have the a second cousin, the daughter of my cousin,
Mm-hmm.
lived in Atlanta, and
Okay.
she and her husband always seemed to be on vacation somewhere else
Mm-hmm.
over that weekend.
As
And
is
they
usually
were
the case.
very, very nice and opened their home up to us while they weren't there.
Yeah.
And so we would come. Of course, it didn't matter. I mean, you'd get to the convention and you'd be there at like 8 or 9 in the morning, and you wouldn't come home till 2 or 3 o'clock,
Exactly.
in that
Exactly.
morning, and then
Yes.
do it all over again.
It makes it great.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is the other thing. Since it's not based in a convention center, it goes on almost 24 hours a day. I mean,
It feels
sometimes the
like it.
hotels might say, "Hey, can you guys move so we can clean?" But
Yeah.
yeah, it runs almost 24/7.
Yeah. Well,
And God bless
that is
them.
amazing, man.
Yes.
I can dig it. It's so many people now, though. I just don't know
Yeah.
how I would, how would go through all of that. Though I did just
Yeah.
do San Diego Comic Con for
Oh,
the first
that
and
is on
only
my
time.
wish list.
Yeah. It's a lot. It is a
Yeah.
lot,
Oh, I'm sure.
And I'm not
I'm
even
sure.
talking about, what was it called? Hall H. I mean, I'm
Mm,
just talking about the main stuff.
really.
You seem like a panels guy,
Yeah.
so that's probably where you spend a lot of your time.
Yeah.
Uh, wow.
Yeah. I've definitely become a panels guy over time.
Well, that's great. So where can people find you like on socials if they want to interact or maybe if they have a something that they'd like to add to your discussion?
Okay, so I am Channing Sherman on all of the big ones. CHANNINGSHERMAN. And
Okay.
that's on Twitter/X. I'm still on there mainly for work purposes.
Mhm.
I did jump over to Blue Sky.
Same.
After Blue Sky, I'm also on Instagram and I'm on TikTok, but you will not see me doing any dances there, I promise you.
Oh, gone
Yeah,
it.
so that's Channing Sherman. My podcast is just the Smarty Art Brother. You can find it Apple, Spotify, or any podcast feed out there. And my group is just called the Black Geeks of DragonCon. If you go to Facebook, that's our main way of communicating. But we also have Instagram and X.
Cool.
Blue Sky probably eventually, but yeah, Black Geeks of DragonCon. Yeah, definitely
Awesome.
check us out, and hopefully one of those three things people will find that they like.
If they can't find it, they need to look somewhere else
Mhm.
because that's got some cool stuff.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I could talk about me and my groups and Dragon Con all day, but it's time for the fun part. Let's go ahead and talk about the penultimates here.
The penultimates.
Nobody says
Yeah.
penultimate.
Woo, the crowd loves it. All right. Well, I'm ready. So go ahead and slam it down, man. What you got?
Okay, so this one's gonna tie into a previous pick, and we did talk about him a little bit already, but Dashiell Fairborn, aka Flint.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, he was dating Lady J, so that's one reason for me to love him.
Or
But
hate him.
yeah, or hate
Sorry.
him, just depending on who you were. No, you're right. Um, he was a high rank, but he wasn't the highest rank. But even And I mentioned how in the comics, even though he was kind of a jerk early on, the troops respected him. It's like, okay, he's not a great person, but he is a good leader. And the cartoons, which were obviously a softer version, he was a good field leader. He wouldn't ask troops to do anything that he would not do himself.
Right, right.
He was loyal. He was one of those, I'm not leaving somebody behind. And if I do leave you behind, it's only so that I can circle around to come back and get you. Yeah, real crafty. He it seems like he had an upbringing similar to Lady J because it seemed like he had a somewhat good upbringing. I think he
Right.
was a Rhodes Scholar. When you see an episode where he's in his downtime, he lives in this penthouse apartment and drives this really expensive sports car.
Of
So,
course he does.
right,
And he hates
exactly,
Lady J.
exactly. Oh, in any other universe, I should hate him.
Yeah.
I did not, but I guess because that hasn't spoiled him, I give him
Okay.
a bit of a pass. But I feel like in real life, I would
Agree to
hate him.
disagree. Agree to
Yeah,
disagree.
yeah, yeah. Also, he's the first dude I ever saw wear a beret and pull it off,
Okay.
which I think is plus. And I also just he probably proved this better than any other GI Joe in the cartoon or the comics. I don't care what your specialty was, you could operate any vehicle in GI Joe.
Uh-huh.
Anyone. I've seen Flint pilot helicopters. I've seen Flint drive tanks. I've seen Flint pilot a submarine. We were talking about Roadblock, the heavy machine gunner. I saw him get in a dogfight in a jet plane. Like
Yeah.
they all had just like, oh, everybody's getting trained on everything.
Right.
Doesn't matter. And yeah, Flint was a perfect example of that. Oh,
Yeah.
we need somebody who here is certified to dive. Here comes Flint. Okay, who's certified to use these jetpacks? Here comes Flint.
Yeah.
Spaceship, Flint. Like, dude, how are you learning all this stuff?
Yeah. Who can flambe up? Well, no, that's Roadblock.
Yeah, that's Roadblock.
Okay.
Roadblock's the cook, but in terms of vehicles,
Yeah, yeah, there you go.
yeah,
So
does
are you
not matter.
trying to say that Dial Tone did not pull off his beret? I mean,
Dalton did not. Dalton did not. He did not. I'm sorry. He didn't.
he always had
And
that little
probably
indentions from his head.
yes. Yeah, I think that's the other thing. He's got the giant metal cone over it. So yeah, I think that kind of that kind of ruined it for him. Love him, but yeah, he just wasn't pulling it off. Was not.
Wow. So Flint, like you said, Flint was a very high-ranking officer with the
Yeah.
Joes,
Yeah.
and he did put himself in front, just like all the other guys.
Yeah.
Um, and what do you think is his greatest? And I'm gonna throw it at you. Marks, I
Sure.
know, hates it when I do this. What do you think was his greatest adventure? Like his greatest moments, maybe in the comics or the cartoon?
Mm. In the comics, and this was when he kind of redeemed himself. There was a team of Cobra eels like slipping up about to attack some Joe troops. And Flint is like, hey, I think Lady J was with him because I think they may have been out there being a little amorous. He was like, hey, we're
Noodling?
yes, exactly. Possibly some canoodling. I don't remember it beat for beat, but I think that's why he's like, hey, run back, go warn everybody, sound the alarms. I'll buy you some time.
Okay.
And he like goes and takes on like a half dozen Cobra eels, which is the bad guys version of the Navy SEALs,
Yeah.
by himself. And remember, they were canoodling, so
Yeah.
he's hand to hand combating these guys.
Uh-huh.
In the cartoon, there's a wildly popular episode called "The Games Master," and it's one of the few times where Cobra was not the main villain. And this third party, he kidnaps Flint and Lady J, and he kidnaps Cobra Commander and the Baroness,
Oh,
and just kind of makes them, hence his name, play games. And he had some really good scenes and lines in that one. So I'd
okay.
say, yeah, depending on the medium, I'd say it would be one of those two.
Oh man, and look at you. You didn't even flinch. You knew
No,
exactly what
no.
you were going to.
Oh yeah. He again, I in real life, I would hate him
Yeah.
if I knew him for that reason. Like he's dating the woman that I love. He's got money. He's got power. Yeah, I would hate him, but since he's a fictional character,
Yeah.
I can let it slide a little bit.
Okay. All right.
And then
Well,
he's nice. That just makes it even worse. Like I
uh,
think I preferred it when he was a jerk.
yeah. Then you could hate him without being worried about it.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
All right. I'm with you
And
there.
I got to be honest, Dashel. No disrespect to anybody out, any of your listeners who might be named that, but Dashel,
Yeah.
really?
I mean, come on. It was good enough for Dashiell Hammett. I mean,
Yeah, okay.
oh, but that was what, 1920? So,
Right, right. But again, I think that's proof that Flint comes from old money.
yes, exactly.
Yes. Yeah, I think
Hey, you
that
never
that's more
know.
of that.
Hammett could have been his like grandfather. You know?
Well, now we know how he avoided that. How he afforded that nice sports car.
There you do. There you do.
That's not coming off of Army salary.
No, no, no. Wow, well, that is a great penultimate choice.
Thank you,
But
thank you.
so mine better be strong,
Yes.
and it is strong. And if it's not your number one, I'm going to be impressed because I know that a lot of people would choose. But my number two is Snake Eyes, the Joe's original commando. Though most of his history and information about his personal life and military service is classified beyond eyes only. I mean, you don't know anything about this guy. All we knew for sure, he was an E7 Sergeant First Class before it went into super classification. He was trained in military assistance command, in Vietnam Recondo School, and he used to go on Southeast Asian long range reconnaissance patrol, as we discussed earlier, with Stalker and Storm Shadow.
That is a scary team, by the
Yes,
way.
it is. Yes, it
Yeah,
is. And that was where he left the service to study with Storm Shadow's ninja clan.
exactly.
He was living in a life of strict denial and seclusion in the High Sierra with a pet wolf named Timber when he was recruited by the Joe team. And it's kind of one of those what if stories that I like to think about is what if he'd stayed and not gone with Joe? Where how their team would have been, because I
Hmm.
mean he was so pivotal in so many things.
Oh yeah,
But
yeah.
also if he had stayed, how big, how powerful his skills could be. He has
Hmm.
12 black belts in different fighting systems, including karate, judo, jiu-jitsu, kung fu, taekwondo, muay thai, ninjutsu, krav maga, savate, silat, pepperoni pizza, jeet kune do, and komodo.
One of those things is not like the other.
That's true. That is true. Jiu-jitsu is more of a grappling skill and not a karate. So you're right. Um, and as most of us know, during one of his very first missions with Joe, his face was severely disfigured in a helicopter explosion, which, though he was able to put together some of his face, his cords were so far damaged that he's never been able to speak again. He's usually known for wearing a black bodysuit along with a balaclava,
Right.
baklava. Yeah,
Baklava, yes, yes,
yeah.
yes.
He's
It's
always
when he
got a
gets
baklava
hungry.
with it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
whenever he's hungry, he's got to be ready.
So when out of uniform, Snake Eyes is shown to be a man with an athletic build, blonde hair, and dreamy blue eyes.
Got to make him handsome.
Yeah, got to make him handsome. But yeah, I don't understand why they could never get him to speak again. I mean, I know it made him mysterious and all of that stuff, but with all the surgeries and the technology and all of that stuff, you think they could have given him, a Darth Vader voice or
Yeah,
something.
voice box or something. Yeah, and I
Oh,
mean maybe it was just easier. And I know it. And I think in the comics and in a couple of cartoons and in the movie, which most people don't talk about, I think they said he took a vow of silence. Is
oh,
what
really? Is
I think that's what they said in the movie. Which again,
that the
rather talk.
Origins movie?
The one before that.
Oh, okay.
The one with Channing Tatum and Marlon Wayne. So basically the first one.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think that. Yeah, I think they said he took a vow of silence.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, another one. Yeah, it was neck damage. Yeah, I think it just again. I think it just depends on the medium. But yeah, you're right. You figure at some point in time they say, okay, we've got, especially GI Joe, we've got some technology to help you communicate
Right,
better. Because
right.
think about it, when he's out in the field, it's not like you can get on the walkie-talkie with him.
No,
Yeah,
no.
but I guess that also shows the level of trust that they have with him. Hey, do
Right.
we need to check in with Snake Eyes? He's good.
Yeah, he's good. He's good.
He's good.
Plus the ladies like the silent type.
This is true. And again, another difference between the comics and the cartoon. In the comics, Snake Eyes and Scarlet, they were the power couple.
Hmm.
Yeah, it was undeniable. Cartoon, Scarlet and Duke.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
exactly.
Let no bond be broken. And again, cartoon, you can't really do much with a guy who doesn't speak.
Yeah.
Back then, I'm sure now they probably could, but yeah,
Oh, yeah. So, and of course, comics for me was I read a lot more comics than I think I remember of the
yeah, yeah.
cartoons. Um, did they really have a romantic relationship in the comics? I
Yes.
remember it being a very, I remember like, of course, issue 21,
Hmm.
he risked it all to go and save her.
Right.
Um, I guess I don't know, maybe just was more focused on Lady J that I don't
Oh yeah.
remember.
Yeah.
But okay.
Yeah, they definitely, yeah, they had a romantic relationship. Obviously Destro and Baroness had a romantic relationship. Flint and Lady J, Mainframe and Zorana. Those are the four that I remember off the just off the top of my head.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well then
Apparently nobody wanted CoverGirl.
I
Apparently
was fixing
nobody
to
wanted
say
the
what
supermodel. Yeah, I'm like, no, 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 supermodel. Oh no.
oh man.
I don't know. They thought she was too. Maybe they thought she was too high maintenance or something.
Yeah,
I
maybe
know.
she was,
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. In the cartoon, Shipwreck used to hit on her all the time,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I think Shipwreck hit on everything that was female all the time. But they didn't have a relationship that I'm aware of. But yeah, the
Oh,
other Joes are like, nope,
nope, nope. Don't want to mess with that.
mm-mm.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Well, all right. Well, we are finally to the point where we are ready for the culmination of our lists. Your absolute favorite G.I. Joe character of all times. But before we do that, why don't you show us some of those cool things you got right there?
So this is not even a large part of my collection, but you got to have your GI Joe Funko Pops. We were
Mm-hmm.
talking about him earlier.
Yeah.
You got to have your Snake Eyes. I have most of the original Marvel run comic books.
Okay.
I think I may be missing like five from that 150 issue run, and I'm still trying to track them down.
Do you have
But I,
150?
yes, I do.
Okay.
Which great
Yeah.
one. Again, Larry needs an award for that one.
Yes, it does.
I'll have to send it to you. I got to meet him at DragonCon one year.
I've got to meet him too.
Yeah, coolest guy. You would
Oh,
think,
awesome.
yeah, yeah, you think he'd be like, okay, I'm sick of talking about GI Joe stuff. No,
Mm. No, he
mm-mm.
loves G.I. Joe.
Loves it. So this, I don't know if you know, Skybound got the
Uh-huh.
license and they're
Yes.
rebooting it. So I just got this weekend. Also, I haven't even had a chance to read it yet,
Is
but
that
this is
number
their number
one?
one. Yeah, this is number
Oh,
one.
okay, cool.
This is number one. Yep. I get some of the little off-brand things too. So this is Duke
Oh, and
next to one of
Vamp.
the Vamp Jeeps. Yeah, I think this is from Jada Toys. So
Okay.
but again, this perfect thing to sit on a desk
Yeah,
in an
yeah.
office.
In
Um,
his box.
yes, exactly. The
Oh,
motorcycle. Yep, got to get
that
the
was my
motorcycle.
first toy. What's
Yeah.
that called? The Ram?
This is the Ram.
Yes, that was my
This is the
first,
Ram.
the original one.
Yeah, yeah. I had the Silver Mirage, and that's the one that I
Oh,
want. It's the one that had the sidecar they could sit in.
yes,
Yes,
yes.
I want the
That's
Silver
cool.
Mirage to come out.
And
And then
that was Grunt, wasn't it?
no, this one they actually used Breaker in this one.
Breaker. Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, which I thought was weird because I don't know if you can see, but one of the things about the motorcycle is you can take the gun off
Uh-huh.
and the person can kind of like Roadblock would carry big
Yeah,
machine guns.
yeah.
Breaker's a communications guy. I don't really
Right.
see Breaker carrying around a big minigun,
No,
Terminator
neither.
style. So
You know,
that was an odd choice.
I wonder because the original toy, didn't come with a figure, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct. That is
Right.
correct. Yeah,
But I remember, gosh, I'll have to go back and look, but I think on the original box, it had Grunt.
probably did.
I'd have to go back and see, but yeah,
Yeah,
anyway,
because
that's okay. Yeah.
Grunt was kind of the silhouette, the standard. So I could see them using that.
Okay.
And then
Ooh,
this one's gonna be tough to show, but I just got it.
yeah,
This my
baby.
HasLab Dragonfly.
God,
Yes, when I get it assembled, I will have to send a picture, but it
definitely.
has, oh yeah,
Dragon.
it's got the stand, it's got all four figures. Yes, I was very excited for that. And
I
I was
bet.
a-okay with, because again, my wife, she's okay with my hobby, but every now and then even she kind of looks at me like, really? Really?
I've
Did
been
you
a good
spend
boy, I
yeah.
promise.
Like, did you spend $200 on a helicopter?
No, baby, I spent three.
Mm. Yeah, right. Yeah, I spent three. I spent three. You know what? I can't give a lot of marriage advice, but one of my favorite tips is keep separate bank accounts.
There you go.
Like,
There you go.
hey, bills got paid out of the main account.
Uh-huh.
This came out of the Channing account.
That's it. That's
There you
it.
go.
Or the Joe account, however you want
Yes,
to call
at this point in time, that may as well be what I call it. Yes, exactly. So
it.
yeah,
Wow,
yeah.
that
But
is
yeah, I've got
sweet.
that. I've been real good about collecting the classified lines. I have one or two of my original toys from when I was a kid, but
Huh?
my problem is my mom got a little toy poodle, I want to say when I was about 10 or 11. And one day he got into my toy box and
Oh,
he went to town
oh man,
on
breaking
all
my
of it.
heart.
Oh man, Destro was bitten in half. Baroness, I don't even know how he did this, but he bit Baroness and just ripped her wig off. So my Baroness was bald.
Oh my gosh.
I had the hovercraft. You don't even want to
It
know.
didn't hover anymore for
It
sure.
does not hover anymore. So yeah, but I've got one or two still left.
Yeah,
Yeah, again, it just takes me back to my happy place. I
that
really
is
enjoyed it
awesome.
as a child. And yeah, I try to spend wisely when I
Uh-huh.
can. I don't have the full room of collectibles yet.
Yet, I like that.
Hey, you gotta have a goal in life. So we'll see
Exactly.
how it goes.
Man, that is really awesome. Okay, well, I had to see that because I've been waiting to see, especially that dragonfly.
Oh yeah, no
That is
problem, no
that is
problem.
cool. So go ahead, lay it on us. What is your
Okay.
absolute favorite G.I. Joe character?
All right, and I'm glad you said that word. I want to give you a little bit of disclaimer. Remember,
Okay,
this is our favorite Joes, it's not
right.
who we think are the best Joes, because those
Exactly.
two different lists. And like I mentioned before, you could go a lot of different ways when you how people pick your favorite. Are you going just off the cartoon canon? Or are you
Mhm.
going off the comics? Or what about the figures? There are certain figures that just stand out more, even if you never saw them just because the figure was so cool, or they
Yes.
came with certain accessories. So you had to kind of factor all that in. So, or sometimes the lore of the character. And that is where my number one comes in. Because even
Okay.
though I do think Snake Eyes is the best G.I. Joe,
Oh, okay.
if I'm going on a mission, Snake Eyes is my first pick.
There
I
you
don't
go.
care if it's a desert
Wait,
mission, an
not Lady J.
underwater mission, not Lady J. Sorry. Now, she might be my second.
Okay. All right.
But Snake Eyes is my number one pick. Low light.
Low light.
Yes, and I'm gonna tell
Okay.
it's a combination of reasons. One, his first figure was just amazing, just the sculpt and the accessories that he came with, because he's like the nighttime sniper.
Uh-huh.
His figure in the classified line is also great, so he had that going for him. Just his design and his aesthetic. In the cartoon, his voice actor like nailed it perfectly.
Yeah.
And honestly, Lowlight is a little bit of a psycho. And I'm going to tell you why. Lowlight, even in the cartoon, Lowlight seemed to be the only Joe who thought that his true mission was to kill cobras.
Right.
There's an episode, there's like a cobra sniper in a tree, and Lowlight sees him, and Lowlight says, I got him. And he shoots, and he hits the tree branch, and that makes the sniper fall, which I thought was the original shot he was going for.
Right.
Lowlight does this, and then he says, shoot, I missed. He was trying to murk that guy.
Yes.
He was 100% trying to murk that guy.
Wow.
Then they had he got kind of his origin story. Growing up, he was scared of the dark. His dad didn't want him to be a wimp, so his dad like took him to, I want to say, a junkyard at night, gave him like a 22 rifle and a flashlight, and said, "You can't come home until you kill 20 rats."
What?
Right, right. So he's got some issues, but I feel like the best example of low light. There's a book, "The Most Dangerous Man in the World."
Uh-huh.
One of the original writers of the GI Joe cartoon wrote this book, and it's kind of like a GI Joe prequel,
Yeah.
and it's really good. I got the audiobook version of it, and Low Light was one of the characters. And Low Light, he said something to the effect, they were asking, why people joined up with the military and with GI Joe, and Low Light said something to the point of, "I want to be able to hunt people, and this job gives me the opportunity to do that legally."
Uh,
Yes,
okay.
yes, I have to find the quote, but that was basically, it's like, "Hey, I get to shoot at people."
Wow. Okay then.
Right.
And
And I
miss if you're in the
just,
cartoon.
yes, and miss if you're in the cartoons.
Can you
Yes,
imagine?
yeah.
Though the guy is a sniper. His
Mm-hmm.
whole life is training to shoot and kill people. And then he gets onto the G.I. Joe cartoon where no one
No
ever
thinking,
dies.
but anyway,
I
in
think
that
I would be
case,
a little psycho too. I really
yeah,
do.
yeah. He's like, "I've lost my edge. What's wrong with me?" Yeah, but then, like I said, I mean, the figure's great with the accessories, and um, yeah, in between that and just, yeah, you know what, Low Light might be a little psycho in real. I'm glad he's on our side. Um, he wants to kill, but at least he only wants to kill the bad guys.
Right.
So
We
you gotta
think.
take your wins when you can. So
Wow.
yeah,
Yeah,
Low
I'm looking
Light,
up the classified series. That is a cool looking toy.
yes, definitely.
Wow.
Definitely. He that's one I've not had a chance to get yet.
Uh-huh.
One thing I have been doing, I've been trying to wait for a lot of them to go on sale.
Yes.
That helps me justify things with the wife a little bit too. Like,
Yeah.
okay, I didn't buy it when it first came out and it was 50.
Right.
Wait till it drops to 29.99.
And where do you buy those?
Honestly, I tend to shop around. Big Bad Toy Store. Obviously Hasbro has their own site, and I'm a Hasbro Pulse member, so I can usually get some advances there. And then I think the other spot, and it's a joke in some instances, but every now and then Ollie's will get some overstocks.
A buddy of mine buys stuff at Ollie's.
Yeah, yeah, they'll get some overstocks of one, but yeah, I'd say Big Bad Toy Store and the main Hasbro site have been my big two.
Okay.
The other reason, because the Hasbro site, since I'm a member of Hasbro Bowl Pros Pulse, I get free shipping.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that
Yeah,
saves. Yeah,
yeah, oh,
yeah.
yeah. It does add up over time.
Wow. Wow, that's
Yeah,
really
but
cool, man.
usually just shop around.
Yeah, yeah. Wow. Well, I never would have expected that. To be honest, he
Yeah,
was not even on my radar. I didn't
yeah.
even have him in my sights.
Haha, but I guarantee you would have been in his.
There you go. That's a little softball
Yes,
for you.
just a little bit. I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
Well, it's funny
Mm-hmm.
because I am going to go back to early Joe, obviously,
Mm-hmm.
for my
Okay.
favorite, for my
Oh,
number
this
one, my
oh, this gonna be
absolute
good.
ultimate choice.
All right.
And it is the laser rifle trooper named Flash.
Oh, deep cut.
Corporal
I like it.
E4 Anthony Gambello. Now,
Right.
dude, like Flash was born in Lodi, California. Um,
Right.
but he has a primary military specialty of infantry, and his second military specialty is electronics CBR, though I have no idea what that means. Um,
Right.
he's highly skilled in many aspects of electronic technology and equipment repair and has a master's in electronic engineering. He was specialized training in all sorts of different places: covert electronics, chemical school, Army electronics school. Then he went to the Aberdeen Proving Grounds Covert
Hmm.
Electronic Division, where his new laser rangefinder found him recruited by General Flag himself. So he
The top
is,
dog.
yeah, top dog. So why is he my favorite, you may ask? Is it
Hmm.
because he has a great backstory? Is it because, he's has some of the most kills or hits, I guess, with no. It's because he shoots a friggin' laser rifle. I mean,
Yes.
come on.
Yes.
This guy he's so cool that Short Fuse borrows his helmet to wear because it's the
Accurate.
exact same with the
Accurate.
thing.
Yes. Accurate.
But I always loved the way that figure, and this one, I'll be honest
Yes.
with you, comes straight from the toy. Just
Yeah.
straight from the tool. The way
Yeah.
that he looked with that little red components to him, where he
Right.
could spit and all this, it was
Yeah.
just so cool and
Yeah.
so badass. And again, big Star Wars fan at the time, Empire Strikes Back was out.
Yeah.
Just,
Lasers.
yeah,
Mhm.
lasers. And the fact that it wasn't a laser like handgun or whatever. It
Right.
had to wear the backpack. It had a
Right.
cord, that had to
Yeah.
attach to it and stuff.
Yeah.
It made me feel like if we could get a laser rifle, it would be something like this. It
Yes.
wouldn't
It
be
was
super
truly meant to be like a first generation new
exact.
technology kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And then of course when it was on the cartoon, everybody had lasers, you know?
Correct.
And
Made him
so then it
obsolete.
was he led the field in all of that.
Right.
So I just loved the toy. I would love to have had a cosplay of that. You've really excited me now because now I got to go out and find the GI Joe cosplay pictures because
Yes.
I'm sure there are tons of them out there. Um, because it's just cool. I never really thought about it.
Hmm.
But
Well, yeah, if you're looking for cosplay, and I'm not officially a member, but I support them a lot. There's a
uh-huh.
group called The Finest.
The
The Finest
finest.
cos yeah.
Okay.
They're a GI Joe cosplay group. They're actually I think they're worldwide now. I think they even have a chapter in probably like Spain or somewhere.
Wow.
But one thing they do is they do a lot of charity work. So they'll go to these conventions and they raise money for charities. Last couple of years, it's been K9s for vets, which is
Oh,
K9s for warriors,
right.
which is exactly what it sounds
Heard
like.
that
And
group.
they do challenge coins, which I think I've purchased challenge coins every year.
That's
That's one of the actual dogs from GI Joe. Remember Law and Order?
uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so but they are a huge cosplay group. Actually, the photo shoot that I do at DragonCon, they put it on. And
Okay.
even if you're not an official member, you can still go there. But yeah, the finest costume club. There you will see some great ones there. And they usually show up at conventions big and small.
Yeah.
This
That's
is
it's kind of
another
like the
one.
501st.
Yes, actually, yeah. This is hard to tell, but this dog is actually dressed up like Zartan. It's a little bit blurry, but yes, it's Zartan dog.
So she's a female dog. So you would call her never mind.
You're right.
Uh,
I see what you did there. Yeah. I've supported them in a lot of things, and they're really good. And if you want to see, because not only do they have cosplay, they'll actually put up guides. So if you want to find out what pieces you want to buy to be a Cobra
oh,
trooper or a Cobra officer,
yeah.
they'll break it down for you for the rank and file.
That's awesome.
Yeah, really good group. Definitely worth shouting out.
Yes. Are you familiar with, well, of course you're familiar with the 501st.
Yes.
Yeah, so it sounds like it's a GI Joe version of that.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I'm just looking it up now.
Hmm.
Oh, dude, this is awesome.
Yeah.
They don't have one in Louisiana. I think that's something you need to start.
Oh, don't tempt me. Don't tempt me. That might be what my wife says. Okay, come on, honey. We got to bring this in now. Got to bring this in. Uh,
That's cool. Yeah, this is really, really cool. I'm gonna have to check this out.
Yes. Oh yeah, I encourage you. And again, they do just some great ones. I know a couple of their members, and like I say, in between the charity work that they do and just some of the amazing cosplay stuff that they do related to it. It's yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
love them to death. When I first saw them, again, I was at DragonCon, I was like, it's my people. I found them. Because I had never seen anybody I'd never seen GI Joe Halloween costumes in stores,
Uh-huh.
or just wandering around. So I'm at Dragon Con and I see somebody walk up. One is Scarlet and the other one is the Cobra Trooper. I'm like, what?
Yeah. Where
Thankfully, it wasn't Lady J.
I was
So
fixing
yeah,
to say.
it was a few years before I saw Lady J. I think somebody must have warned them about me or something.
And there's that pesky um,
Yeah.
um, restraining order, but
Yeah, exactly. Nobody
yeah,
dress up as Lady J this year. Okay, that's banned.
that's I did see, I didn't actually get to go because I had something the same weekend that I was already promised to do. But Sergeant Slaughter showed up at this thing called, and I don't know if you should be aware of it. It's called the St. Tammany
Yep.
Collectible Toy Show. That's where I met Larry Hama a few years
Mm-hmm.
ago. And then
Mm-hmm.
Sergeant Slaughter was there, I think it was maybe last year. No, 2 years
Mm-hmm.
ago. And then last year, one of the illustrators for the backs of the cards,
Mm-hmm.
for the the front and the back pictures, was there
Mm-hmm.
too. So
Yeah.
they're big
Yeah,
into.
Sarge is well known. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. And actually look up Joe Fest in Augusta, Georgia.
I've heard
Um,
of that.
I went because I used to live and work in Augusta, Georgia for a few years. So I went to the first one, and then I think I ended up having to move, but it has only gotten bigger. And you mentioned that they've had Sergeant Slaughter, they've had the voice of Storm Shadow, Larry showed up. They've had some other voice actors there. People from the 501st show
Did,
up.
did they have the voice actor for Snake Eyes?
That would be great. He just comes and he just sits on the panel and doesn't speak.
Yeah,
Everything is just either a head shake or a nod. That would
that
be
would
hilarious.
that would be
Yes.
awesome.
Yeah. Obviously, they have some merch. They have little backdrops you can take photos on. Yeah, it's I think it's gotten bigger. It's relatively new as far as conventions go, but
Uh-huh.
it's another one. It's on my list for next year also to go back to.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then there's Joe Fest. No, Joe Fest, or there's one outside of Atlanta, and I'm spacing on the name. Joe
Yeah.
Lanta. Joe
Joe
Lanta.
Lance.
Yeah, I don't know
That's
why.
a
Yeah,
Dolly
I
Parton
don't
song.
know why. Yeah,
Isn't there like
it should be. Yeah,
yeah,
it should be.
isn't there like a convention that's just all G.I. Joe
I think
as
that's
well?
Joe Lanta.
That's Joe Lanta because they actually
Yeah,
like make a figure each year for that convention.
yeah,
That's like an exclusive.
yeah. I don't. Yeah. Oh boy. Yeah, I know the one because they had. I don't know if you ever saw GI Joe the movie, but they made a big lob figure and
Oh,
released it.
okay.
Yeah, think
Wow.
it's Joe Lanta, but now I'm kind of spacing. But yes,
Joe
but yeah,
Lanta.
they'll do like these exclusive ones.
That's cool. Wow.
Yeah,
Well, listen,
absolutely.
this has been so much fun. And I'm going to stop you
Yes.
right here and officially invite you to do Fave 5 G.I. Joe toys.
Oh yes.
Okay? Because you have got it. But now here's the caveat.
Uh-oh.
All G.I. Joe toys, not just a real American hero. Okay?
Okay.
Now yours can all be real American hero. That's totally fine because
Mm-hmm.
it's favorites.
Yeah.
But I would like us to do that.
Okay. All right. So
And I
yeah, so
think
we're talking Sigma 6, GI Joe Extreme, the whole nine. Okay.
Kung Fu
Challenge
Grip,
accepted. Yeah.
you
Oh yeah,
know,
the Big 12 and yeah, okay.
yeah,
Challenge
all of
accepted,
those.
sir.
All right.
Yes.
So we'll do that in 2025.
Yes, put a pin in
I'll
that
give
one.
you a couple of months to work your list out and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to challenge you to
Mm-hmm.
have the toys that are on your list that you own
Mm-hmm.
there and ready off camera.
Mm-hmm.
Show me as we get
Show
to
it
it.
to her.
Now you don't
Mm.
have to have it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if
But
you want to buy it between now and then, it's totally okay. You have my approval. Yeah. As a matter of fact, you can say, I have to buy it, honey.
yeah, baby, it's
It's
for the
for the
show.
show.
It's
It's
for
for
the
the
show.
show.
Can't disappoint the listeners.
Come on, baby. You're number 24. You know how important this is. For Christmas,
it's
you
for
can
the
get her a
team.
shirt. I'll send you a shirt that says 24 on it, so she's part of it. Yeah,
She's
yeah.
part of it. Yes. I love it. I love it. You, my friend, have just given me a challenge and a great reward at the same time. So, yes,
As
looking
long as you
forward
have
to this.
as long as you have a comfortable couch, it's
Yes.
down.
Yes. Yeah. Thankfully, I do. Thankfully, I do. Plus, we have our new family couch, and I still have
Oh,
the couch from when I was a bachelor because that's the
okay.
couch that she gave to our dog. So, so
She
if
might
he's
switch it
willing to
to use
share,
that one, and the dog
yeah,
can have the family one.
yeah. If she's willing to share,
Well, I just wrote it in ink, so we are
hmm
down. We are down.
yes,
That's going to be
yes,
so much fun. And I'll
yes. Can't
tell
wait.
you, I already have my long list, but
hmm
based on our conversations, I'm going to have to go out and look some more. I won't
Yeah,
have any of them. I'll have one. My number
right,
one favorite toy is going to be
right.
there. I do own it. Um, but I'm going to have to go and find some more because this this HasLab stuff and
hmm
the classified those are some cool. I'm gonna have to dig through those and see.
Yeah,
But
the HasLabs. I don't know who's coming up with them and what mad scientists they've got working, but yeah, they've got some good ones.
that is so cool, man. And I just followed the finest on Facebook. So or
Hmm.
liked them, I guess is what you say. So that's gonna
Yep,
be cool.
yep, yep.
Who
And
knows,
definitely
maybe.
reach out to some of them. They would make some great guests because
Yeah.
a lot of them, not only what they do, but their real jobs.
Yeah.
Just to kind of tie in, it's like, yeah, I do this cosplay, but I'm also, a nuclear brain surgeon. They just, you wouldn't expect it. Or just to talk about their charity work.
That's cool. Wow. Yeah. Okay, well, again, I really want to thank you for sitting down and taking the time to make this list. I know it was a challenge, but man, you really brought it.
Thanks, thanks. This was a lot of fun. Brought me back to my childhood days, and I cannot wait to come back to talk about GI Joe, celebrity crushes, or anything else for that matter.
All
What
right.
worse is going to happen is I'm going to end up sleeping on the dog's sofa.
The dog's couch.
And it used to be my couch, so I know for a fact it's comfortable.
There you go. There you go. And I want to thank everyone out there in the podcast universe because we know you have a choice in podcasts, and we appreciate that you tuned in to Fave 5 from Fans. And we hope that you had a fantastic time. If you enjoyed it, we would be eternally grateful if you shared our podcast with a friend and gave us a sparkling 5-star review on your preferred podcast app. Um, your support and your responses and your reviews are invaluable to helping the Plastic Microphone Studios flourish. And honestly, even if our show didn't quite hit the mark for you, we would not be upset were you to, fib a little and still leave us a glowing review. We're okay with the karmic. Yes, sir. We're five. And if it's a 10 star, you can go with 10. Whatever the maximum starage power, that's what you want to go with.
More
Um,
stars, more better.
we encourage you to engage us on social media platforms like Twitter X or on the Gram. And now we too are on Blue Sky. So let's keep the conversation going and make this podcast community even more vibrant and exciting. Thank you for being a part of the journey, and we can't wait to share more thrilling content with you in the future. Stay tuned for more Fave 5 from Fans adventures. New shows come out every Friday, unless they don't. So be sure to subscribe and follow us to catch all of the new episodes. And remember, folks, it may not be the best, it may not be the most popular, but if it's your favorite, then it's good enough for us. Thank you so much for joining us. Channing, take us out.
Yo, Joe.
Jojo! Love that.